Hello, everybody. It's your boy, the Punk Otaku Scribe, and I did not like Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. I know, I know. Now, before I really get into it, I want to clarify two things. One, I will not, repeat, not be making comparisons between this film and Godzilla Minus One, because both films, in their tone, in what they're trying to portray, are valid to exist. Okay? And it wouldn't be fair to either movie to compare one over the other. Whether I'm a fan over one over the other, it would not be fair to compare them because they're entirely different movies. So if you're here for Minus One with serious, thought provoking Godzilla good and silly, adventurous Godzilla bad, it's not the video for you. So I encourage you to click away if that's what you wanted here. There will not be any Monsterverse bashing on this video. There just won't be. Second, I'm going to spoil the ever-living heck out of this movie because there's things in the plot that I feel I can't talk about without spoiling the movie, and I just need to get my thoughts about them out there. So, big spoilers ahead if you haven't seen the movie. Okay? So, just to recap. No minus one comparisons, and big spoilers ahead. We good? Alright, I'm gonna give you time to click away. Okay, you've had your time. On to the video. Now, for those of us that have been following the Monsterverse movies, it's been getting crazier right before our eyes. 2019 King of the Monsters was really where we started getting that really silly, crazy tone that we've had the last few films. And as much as I enjoyed Godzilla vs. Kong, the one before this current one, a small part of me was concerned that amping up the craziness even more meant that it would just go right off the cliff. And it did. Okay, Godzilla vs. Kong has that Showa era science fiction silliness, but this one has just gone full on. Now, is that always inherently a bad thing? No, a lot of movies that are crazy are really fun. And this one's fun too. I won't deny it. It is. But as a package, it just isn't as good as the sum of its parts. This movie's pacing was so disorienting, it couldn't stay on one moment for too long, especially for Godzilla. In GVK, they balanced the time between Kong and Godzilla. Godzilla just a little bit less, but they still try to give them equal enough screen time. In this, they think they're doing that, but they're not. We only have one group of humans following just Kong, and then Godzilla is doing his thing, trying to power up, but all we have following him is just useless commentators. But whenever Godzilla is doing something, we don't get much context to it, we just get led into it, and then we're taken right out of it. We'll see Kong doing something in the Hollow Earth, then come back to Godzilla, and then pull away from Godzilla after about a couple of minutes. And there's no stop to awe in any of the spectacle. It's just keep going, keep going, keep going. We got to get to the third act. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Just keep going. And it was like, I felt like I was being assaulted because it just wouldn't stop. Speaking of Godzilla, a lot of stuff to do with him in this is kind of lame and predictable. Anytime he fights in this, it goes exactly the same way every time. It's so dissatisfying. He'll get into a fight, he'll get stuck in the predicament within like a minute or so, and then there he goes. Vroom, 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 vroom. That exact same scenario happens 4 times. By the end of it, I just kind of started rolling my eyes. Godzilla wasn't impressive to me anymore. Now, him turning pink, that was really cool. And the whole third act with him is really cool. The zero gravity fight. There's a lot of the stuff with the monsters is really cool, but everything to do with Godzilla until all of that stuff was just kind of lame and predictable. The stuff with the humans in this wasn't any better. I understand that they're not the focal point, right? But just because they're not doesn't mean that they had to have been this much of nothing as they were. Brian Tyree Henry, I felt he was kind of grating in this. I don't remember him having this kind of energy to him in GVK. Yeah, he was the funny one, but I don't remember him being so. Look at that over there. What's going on over here? I don't remember him being that way in the last movie. I remember him being very, exasperated, with the kids and everything, but he wasn't this so wound up and goofy in the last one. It was so annoying to me. Eileen Andrews, I think that's her name, Rebecca Hall's character. She's just exposition person. That's it. That's all she is. And I think that's all she was in GVK too. And then Dan Stevens' character, Trapper, he annoyed me the most. I hated him the most because he was, well, I hated the way he was written. I liked the character, but the script gave him nothing much to do except for find Kong's glove at the end. Leading up to this, we're told that he is a vet to the Titans, which for a movie like this about giant monsters, that's a really cool and funny idea, but they don't do anything with it other than him extract Kong's tooth. You'd figure a character that you're told is a vet to big monsters would have some kind of use that they would use, but they don't. He could have explained to them what all the different species are like in the Hollow Earth and what makes them tick, how to avoid them, how to beat them in a sense, or what their territories are like, or what makes them sick, just anything. But they don't. He extracts Kong's tooth, and then that's it. He's just the guy that follows them around because they couldn't get Alexander Skarsgård for this movie, so they needed just the guy, and they got Dan Stevens, and they said he's a vet and he can take out Kong's tooth. Oh yeah, well, what else do we got for him? Nothing. He's just a funny guy now for the rest of the movie. It was so lame. I hated how they wrote this character. But Gia came out okay. I liked her arc in this. I felt like it needed a bit more, but I really liked her character in this. And she was the best human character in GVK 2. I really liked Gia, and I'm really interested to see where her story goes. In this, I could use a bit more of it, but I liked her in this quite a bit. By the way, do you like Mothra? That's cool, I do too. I love Mothra. She's in this. How is she in this? I don't know. The movie didn't tell me. Okay, so after traversing the Hollow Earth for some time, they discover a surviving Iwi tribe. And they find, Mothra in their lore on their walls and hieroglyphs and everything. And, it makes you think, ooh, okay, here we go. Mothra, where there's gonna be an egg, right? And they're gonna resurrect Mothra, or maybe she's already alive, right? Yeah, there's a larva. No, not at all. They go into the area where the Iwi live, okay, and they show this doorway, and they look up, and this woman comes out of this doorway, and she's silhouetted, and then they cut to a shot of the back of her head as she's walking down the steps. Now, what you're going to think as a Godzilla fan, if you're up on your lore, is, okay, so here's what's going to happen. They're going to show her face, she's going to look just like Gia, and it's going to turn out that Gia's a twin, and then, they're going to sing a song and resurrect Mothra and that kind of thing, right? You would think that. No, what happens is they show this woman's face. She looks nothing like Gia. She's just some person, well, the leader of this Iwi tribe, but they built her up like she was going to be super important, like it was going to be a huge reveal. Like maybe it's her mom or something, but they didn't do anything with that. They just led up to her appearance for some reason. But they lead up to it like it's going to be something huge. It's not. And then there's some conversation. It turns out Gia's the one to resurrect Mothra. They make Gia go up these steps on this pyramid, and Gia holds out her hand, and I kid you not, summons Mothra like a D&D summon. She holds up her hand, and she waves it like it's an incantation. A gold swirly thing happens, and then Mothra appears and immediately flies to the surface Earth. No character of looking at herself like, oh my goodness, I'm alive! I'm alive! How is that possible? Or, what happened to me? Nothing like that. She just appears and flies up and just immediately knows what to do. It was so ridiculous. I I did not like it at all. I understand I'm being pretty harsh on this movie, and it sounded like I liked nothing about it whatsoever. And that's not entirely true. There was one aspect I really liked a lot. Well, two aspects. The monster action is done really well. It's really cool monster action. Okay? You want monster fights, you want big monster action, you get it here, you get plenty of it. And everything to do with the great apes. From Kong, Zuko, Scar King, that underground empire, I liked all of that stuff. The Scar King is a badass, and he's really funny too in some parts. And I'm really a sucker for the type of story that centers around, like the grizzled old badass with their sidekick kid, and they're going on like a journey together or surviving the elements together. I really like that kind of story, and you kind of get that here. Not too much of it, but you get a little bit of it, and I really liked it. And I kind of hope that they sort of go in that direction with Kong and Zuko more, because, that kind of story, even though it seems passe and, repetitive, it really works. Despite liking the monster action, though, despite liking Kong's part of the story, this movie just didn't come together as a cohesive package for me. I just don't think that there was enough here for me to really like this movie. But it is doing well, and I'm glad to be seeing it doing well because I do want to see more of these movies. I just hope that, the next one can just kind of scale it back a little bit in terms of just, bringing everything together as just one cohesive narrative. But hey, despite not being a fan of this movie, I'll always have this. Anyway, love him or hate him, those are my thoughts on Godzilla x Kong the New Empire. If you saw the movie, I'd like to know what you thought. If you haven't yet, and you're just digesting the movie through my spoilers on this video, let me know what you think down in the comments regardless. I'd like to know if you thought I was on point, if I'm way off base, if you think this movie sounds insane just from what I'm saying in this video. I'd like to know all of it. Anyway, that's going to do it for me on this little video. If you like what you saw, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, be sure to follow all of my socials, links down in the description. I've been the Punk Otaku Scribe, and I'll see you in the next one.